we've gotten a lot of leads recently for people getting into e-commerce. So I have a question that I got to ask you that I have nothing to do with, and I don't know if Ryan, you can add on this, but if you were going to start an e-commerce business from scratch, what's the platform you would use and why?
I'm going to throw it back at you first. What's your opinion? If you were going to do it.
I mean, if I was going to do it.
You were going to sell like Jeff Gibbert's Red Pumas, like Jeff Gibbert's Red Puma company, like what would you
I'd probably use Shopify because it has good, I have good brand awareness of it, and it looks like it'd be really easy. I've tried to set up stuff on WordPress, and it taps out at the limit of what I'm capable of doing, so I just feel like Shopify would be really easy, so that's probably what I would pick.
Interesting. So like, there's definitely a huge market bias, market awareness that like, oh, like I want to set up a store, so like online, so Shopify. I would use Shopify. Why do you use Shopify? Because it's easy. That's not bad. I'm curious what your answer would be like.
Yeah, I mean, I built mine on WordPress custom because I had, had an agency, had designers, developers. I was comfortable in WordPress. Plus, it was like a 50 SKU website. But like in hindsight, the site performs really well, but it was a pain in the ass to set up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was not an easy customization job. And I had thought about migrating to Shopify, but that opportunity cost was just way too high. I mean, it was just...
No, I think Shopify absolutely has its place, man. I think if you're starting a new business and organic is just not a big, like SEO is not a big part of your initial go-to-market strategy. Like I'm a very big believer in like the evolution of e-commerce and like moving platforms. I don't think it has to be this giant, terrifying thing. I think you can, like, as your company grows, you can move platforms like with relative ease until like as it makes sense for the business. So starting like, if with your business you identify like, all right, there is a big market to sell on Instagram for our business. Like we absolutely like Instagram and Facebook ads are where we want to start. That's where we can generate sales initially. And you don't have a ton of SKUs, and obviously you don't have any revenue, you don't have any transactions to speak of. I think Shopify is a great go-to-market platform. And like a good example there, I think, is the company Diamond Candles. So Justin Winter, the founder of Diamond Candles, he brought it to market on Shopify. And because it was really simple, there was not much product configuration at the like individual SKU level. It was like, what's your color, flavor, whatever it is, how candles are sold, and you add that shit to your cart, and like it integrated well with Shopify ads, and they ran a lot of Facebook ads, and it worked well to get them to $12 million their first year on launch. And then they were like, all right, like this is great, this worked. Now it's time to go to a grown-up platform because we're doing over 1,000 transactions per month. So they moved from Shopify to, I believe it was Magento. And you can do a fair amount of customization on Magento, and Magento will get you pretty far. Like, I mean, we've got clients that are, $50, $100 million a year e-com brands that are doing just fine on Magento. I do think like the configuration of the products themselves are a huge consideration. Like, depending on how many product options you need to have and like how much customization needs to happen at the product level, you're gonna hit restrictions whether you're on like a Shopify, like first and foremost on Shopify, but then also on even Magento or like something where it's going to also be self-hosted, but maybe it gives you more of an open source based code base to work off of, like a eCommerce, which is all Ruby on Rails. And then like even thinking more enterprise applications like Demandware, you can customize those a tremendous amount, but like there are certain types of products that really lend themselves well to the idea of like building your own platform. And I realize that sounds crazy in 2018 to be like, well, like you might want to build your own platform, but like there's so many libraries out there of like good open source code bases that get you all of that user authentication, user management, SKU management, order management, like all the crap that's a bitch that like you don't need to recreate from scratch. You can take all those pieces off the shelf and like put them on your own stack. I think that does make a lot of sense, but it's all relative to like what you're selling and what your go-to-market strategy is.
But how would you go about doing that? If you were on Shopify and you were shopping around, you were saying, look, I don't want to do Magento, don't want to do Demandware, and somebody were to say, all right, well, I'll build my own platform. Like, how would somebody go about doing that?
So, like, .NET offers a lot of security. Microsoft built it that way on purpose, but I probably would not like build a C-suite platform or a C# platform like a .NET-based cart right now, because that code base, while it's still relatively bulletproof in a lot of respects, that developer base, the people who were professionally trained that have experience writing stuff like in the C# code, like on a code base based on C#, they're old now. But relative speaking, like those are 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old developers. They're few and far between. Whereas like you've got like a more modern language, like even based on something as more universal as like a PHP, like a Laravel, for example, as a stack. Like I would look at a stack where I would specifically like how many, like what's the total pool of development resources I can pull from? How expensive are those developer resources? How many of those developers are here? Like would I have to hire locally, like in the United States, to get started, to get my platform off the ground? And then like, what's the maintenance perspective? And like, how off, like, can I maintain this myself? Like, what are my costs going to be? Like, there are just different code bases in different languages that are inherently more expensive.